Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this budget committee to order, and we will stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Any amendments to the agenda? Okay. I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
I'll call for the question. Commissioner Coker?
Aye.
Commissioner Hollinger?
Aye.
And I as well. All right, getting into action and discussion. A is the overview of accounts by our treasurer. It looks like he is en route. Thank you for you guys. Yep. Another.
Back, but ready for the deep dive.
So the treasurer is going to provide us with an overview of our accounts. I think it's important to understand kind of what money goes into what kind of accounts we have, and how those things are tracked and kept and seen after.
I had to print it out because the PowerPoint's not going to show up, so it's not long. You guys, they're double-sided. So, one for user.
Cool. Thank you.
And they're upside down. Not user. You.
Yep.
Sorry for you. And
Who? Nick?
Next to the mic.
Oh, she's just
Yeah.
saying, make sure you.
oh yeah. Okay, no problem.
Dan, do you have a copy of this?
I do. I have it pulled up. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Nick.
So the first thing we're going to look at is the treasurer's monthly statement that I put out every month. Is that one right there? The one on the top right there.
Okay.
So it lists the funds we have in the account by a specific date. It also lists the interests we earn per month from the local government investment pool accounts, and then it lists the interest that we earned for that month. It's gone down over the past, 6 months. It's gone down from 5% to where it is now at 4.6. It is currently our only interest-bearing accounts that the county has. One's the road pool. The other one is I call it our treasurer's checking accounts. Basically our savings account for operating the whole county. So I'll let you guys look that over real quick. So if you have any questions, fire away.
I do. Is it normal to have all of our accounts invested into the same?
No. As far as what, statewide comparison to other counties?
Yeah.
No, it's not. If you look at, so one thing I've been looking at is counties comparable as far as population-wise, and I took two examples. One's Hood River County, which is kind of, it's up by Portland area, and one is Jefferson County. So what they do is they have LGIP accounts like us, but they have a whole list of, I call a portfolio of things that they invest in. Treasury bills, they issue bonds for debts. It's a whole other thing I can go into. And they invest in T-bills. They also have a firm that can handle things, investment firms that work for them. So it diversifies their funds. It doesn't have all locally like we have in just two accounts. They don't have all their funds invested in treasury bonds, but what they do is they keep the amount they need in the LGIP accounts and their operating accounts, and the rest they invest. And if you look at their monthly treasury reports, you can see what they've earned and how they're doing, and they list everything that they invest in.
So, yeah.
Honest truth, we are way behind in the times.
Percentage-wise, order of magnitude.
The one I really studied was Jefferson County, and from what I remember, I didn't bring it with me today. I think they only had 9%, or definitely less than 10% in their LGIP and operating accounts. The rest were invested across multiple factors.
But in terms of rate of return, so right now we're at a fixed 4.6%. Did you see that on average they were receiving a larger rate of return?
Yes. As far as the T-bills and things, we were holding par, but that interest rate you see has gone down. It's probably just going to keep going down.
Right.
So, without diving deeper into it, they are earning more rate of return.
So it's probably smart to start looking at investing.
Yeah, at least just diversify. Diversify. And things that aren't, I won't go off on a tangent, but, even T-bills, something the government issued, something, not throwing it in the stock market per se. Some people might be just things that are safe.
Okay. Okay, go on.
Okay, the next thing we're going to go to is my printed out PowerPoint. So in talking to Jay, I just wanted to educate everyone on what accounts we do have. So right now, those are four of the accounts that I operate in. There's also a couple of the sheriff's department has accounts, but I don't do anything with those. It's mostly inmate trust account. But those are the four accounts I interact with almost daily. So we have the LGIP account and the road pool. The road fund, the only thing that goes in and out of the road fund is ODOT pays us monthly, fuel tax, bike path, shared vehicle tax. So it's usually around $200K. So I take that money and I put it in the road pool. Road pool doesn't get touched besides that. And then the only time I take money out of the road pool is for projects and to repay our accounts payable and payroll from what the road department used. And that can vary. It could be as low as $100K, it could be $300K. It just depends on what they're spending money on and what comes due. The LGIP account is where most of our operating funds are at. I try to touch it as little as possible. The only time I do interact with that is if we have a shortfall in our operating expenses. So I have to pull some from the LGIP and move it to our treasurer's checking account. Try to keep that as minimal as I can, but I try to keep the treasurer's checking around $500 to $700K, just because we usually have accounts payable. It could be $45,000, like I said, $300,000, and payroll is usually around $195 every 2 weeks, $195,000. What I did come to realize is our unseg tax account. So all the property taxes we pay go into this tax account. The only time funds come out is refunds or to disperse the taxes. So every month I send out I get a report from Wendy and Kylie, all the districts, all the amount they're supposed to get. It's over 50 districts. So then I pull the money. If you flip over to the next page, you'll see that I disperse the taxes from the tax account to our treasurer's checking. From there, I send money out from the treasurer's checking and the local government investment pool, because some districts have accounts at banks, schools have their accounts at LGIP accounts. So I take the money from the unseg account, send whatever has to go to the LGIP account, and disperse it to the taxing districts. Any questions?
With all the money moving in between the investment accounts and our accounts, do they charge fees for every transaction?
Yes, they're very minuscule though.
Okay.
5 cents.
Perfect.
So the LGIP account at most maybe has $1 charge to it.
Okay.
The road pool, it's usually around 15 to 30 cents.
I'd always heard we had around 42 tax districts, and you're saying that we pay
I think it's 50 now. It's over 50, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's over 50 for sure, because my line goes to 60, so. Other questions? Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. I forgot. Okay, let's see what I pay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the last thing I've already talked about, because it's pretty simple, is the road fund. Like I said, the only thing, the ODOT payment goes to the road fund, and the only time I take money out of the road fund is if I have to for a special project, which I haven't, nothing's that come across like that, and then I pay AP and payroll out of the road fund. So I try not to touch the road fund at all. That obviously has the higher balance. It earns more interest. So
Okay.
try to keep it as simple, and I just wanted everyone to know how it works.
Thank you. Yeah, he was explaining to me this one day, and I felt it was just important for everybody to kind of get this tutorial, because I didn't quite have a full grasp of what the purpose of every account was. And so, I mean, obviously, when it says road pool account, you get the understanding there. But on the other ones, not quite understanding, how they operate, and how we operate within those accounts. So I thought that would be somewhat beneficial of a tutorial. And so essentially, we have 4 accounts. And from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, when we receive state or federal funds, those are oftentimes ACH'd into the LGIP pool account. When we receive state, ODOT, et cetera funds, those are put in the road fund.
They go to the, everything goes to the LGIP 5100.
And then you disperse them out. And then you're the one who maintains the treasurer's checking account, which is basically our monthly operating account. And then, but you also on daily payments, say the clerk gets $30, whatever, right? And you make the deposit, that goes into the treasurer's checking account. So daily deposits goes into treasurer's checking. And then the unsegged tax account is where all of our tax dollars go into, our local property tax dollars, to then be dispersed out to the districts as prescribed by their tax rate. Okay. Okay. All right. I hope that made sense for everyone. I don't know if it was that important, but I had not had it presented to me in that fashion before.
Nick, just a quick question. I don't know, Nick, if you have the figures or not, and I realize there's a lot of ins and outs here. How do these numbers compare to this time last year? Especially on the pool account and the road fund account? You know?
You have to grab a microphone, Nick.
Sorry, I should have sat down. So we are actually up compared to last year. About almost $2 million.
In total or
LGIP account, the road pool has been around 20, 21, 22, pretty stationary.
okay.
But we also, the ONC money came in, and that was $944,000. That just hit last month. So that increased, that helped us out a lot.
I
And
see.
we also got a few different FEMA reimbursements for the road funds. Each one was how much were those? A million plus?
One was $400,000, but if you look at that money was already spent, so we're just recouping it. But yeah, one was $400,000. They're still trickling in from as old as 3 years ago. So Carrie, who's running that operation, it's very detailed and it's a lot of work.
But we are getting a bunch of different reimbursements from projects in the past that are coming back into us now,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
which
Thank
explains
you.
why there's an increase.
That and basically I think a big thing is we're running more efficiently or leaner. And so, I mean, obviously with all the cuts we had to make, there's reasons why we have a little bit more money than last year.
Okay. And on that road pool account, is So that pays for road operations.
Yeah, accounts payable, so anytime they buy gravel, things like that, and payroll.
And so, am I wrong in understanding that at the end of the year, there will be there's usually a fairly decent transfer to cover basically the end of year balance?
If it's out
At
of
the
balance,
end of the fiscal year.
if they're short, or what do you, I guess,
So like, so they're operating out of that account. They pay,
they repay our treasurer's account, basically.
right. And so a lot of times there's I don't know, I guess there's for instance, a lot of different transfers happen at the end of the year where,
Oh, yes,
Right.
yeah. And this will be my first time doing that, so I couldn't give you a answer on that I'd feel comfortable giving.
I know like in the past, when the road funds to the sheriff's patrol they transfers right at the end of the year.
Yes, exactly,
So that hasn't been taken out yet.
No, it has not yet.
Yeah.
No. That's,
Okay, so that number's a little inflated because those numbers aren't taken out progressively throughout the year.
no, they're not. They're done at
Okay.
the end of the year. I was just referring, what Mr. Brandt was saying is, the more focus I have is rebuilding our LGIP 5100 account. Because
Right.
that is essentially all we have as far as savings, as far as not dipping in the road pool.
So, Nick, how much of a decrement will the dispersion of these funds be once you true up with the sheriff?
I don't know yet, to be honest with you. I don't.
Order of magnitude,
I
1 or 2
couldn't tell
million?
you. No, I don't think it's as much as that. I haven't, the first year doing this interim new position, I just don't know
Okay.
until, I
Thank
don't
you.
want to give you a wrong answer.
But if we look at year over year, though, it'd be the same situation, right? Because last year we would have made the transfer at the end of the year as well, right?
Yes,
So this is a general sense of cash. I mean, we are up on cash.
Yes.
correct, yes.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And I think the kind of my takeaway was this, that we have been very our investment strategy hasn't been really
Hasn't been there.
right. We don't have much of it. We don't have an investment strategy. Everything sits in this LGIP state pool, right, receiving the interest rate that's been assigned based on the current interest rates that are going on. Whereas I was looking at other counties, and our rate of return right now is 4.6%. Some of their rates of return are closer to 7 to 8%. We're talking about double the amount of interest gained on this amount of money is substantial. And I mean, this is a strategy that we can employ to really try to climb ourselves out of this scenario that we're in, and/or provide us some more operational funds, right? And so that, I think, that was my big takeaway, and I'm hoping that in the next BOC meeting, we're able to really discuss having the treasurer diversify our investment portfolio so that we can put ourselves in a little better financial position in the future,
To that point, Jay, on the LGIP pool account, that throws off a lot of interest, even at the 4.6%. So if that were throwing off more, how does that impact the general fund? Or is that money only targeted for specific uses once it's removed from the 5100 pool?
Well, the 5100 pool those are basically those are our just our
Reserves.
yes, but they're not restricted.
Are some.
That's cool.
What
So
about-
the interest accrued on those can be applied to whatever we choose
So.
if we choose.
Where's the, like the building fund?
So basically, all the funds are in there. in the LGI, most of them are there, and I just assign line items.
So some are restricted.
Some are restricted, but I'm
What
just
did you
talking-
ask him, Jay?
I said, where's the building fund, for example? That's a restricted fund. So when there are restricted funds, they're within the LG. The LGIP is just our whole big bucket. And of that, it's generating, the more you can, the better you can do, and the more you have in that one fund, the more choices you have. But of that, some of that's gonna be restricted.
The funds themselves,
The funds themselves, right?
right. But
And-
the interest accrued,
Well,
Not so
that's-
much.
I don't know about that, but I do know that, another option that you have is that you can, as we go through, maybe not this budget, but down the road, you can also look at doing some different types of restrictions on funds if you want to aim those, if you want to, create like some sort of a basis for some new strategy that you're going to do within the county. So it's just something to keep in mind as you go. But right now, a certain amount of those funds, are, as far as like the planning department or building department go, those are restricted. And so basically, you wouldn't be able to cash this out
No.
and go to a
And we
casino.
wouldn't,
right?
and we
Right.
wouldn't. I don't, like, this is just preliminary, but yeah, you're right, Ted. We wouldn't cash it all out.
Right.
yeah.
Another thing, going down the rabbit hole, is a lot of counties offer issued debts, municipal bonds. They're very favorable to people who don't want to pay taxes on the state level. It's something to look at as far as generating income to pay for things.
And how familiar are you with that process?
I mean, I studied it in school, but there's no way I could do it by myself. I mean, I'd have to get help. Let's put it that
Okay.
way.
Okay.
It involves a lot of, filings, and you have to, it's a whole thing. I don't want to lecture you on it, but you have to agree to a rate, what you're going to do with it. It's a process, but a lot of counties do it, and it's a good way to pay for things.
Okay. Thank you. So today's a pretty easy meeting. Today we just give a couple of budget overviews, elect our officers, and then look at what calendars work for everybody. And so a couple things on budget overview. I mean, something to celebrate. Obviously, that was extremely difficult, but I mean, I think something that we can be somewhat proud of is that the county, in essence, ran off of a sustainable budget for the first time since about 2013. And that, I think, is reassuring, right? We can. Was it done well? That's to be debated. In some areas, it was done very well, and in other areas, we have a lot of room to improve. But obviously, last year was taxing on everybody. It was probably the most difficult budget season we've had in a very, very, very long time. So this year, what we had asked, we had sent out the budget worksheets, and we had asked, basically said, hey, we received $944,000 in O&C funds, which we did not receive last year. So what happened? So how it works is you have the opportunity to elect to receive SRS or O&C. And the O&C counties, so knowing that SRS was on the block, many elected to receive O&C funds. O&C funds are unrestricted general funds. SRS funds are divvied up 75-25. 75% goes to roads, 25% is then split between the schools based on their student population. So there was no real O&C funds SRS funds, Secure Rural Schools funds. They were replaced with O&C funds. So we have $944,000 that we didn't have last year. But here's the thing. To remain status quo, at an average of a 7.5% increase per employee, that number is $927,000. So the SRS payment this year basically keeps us whole. It offsets the increase in PERS and step increases and things of that nature that equal an average of about 7% per employee.
But again, it's not SRS money, it's O&C funds.
money.
O&C funds.
5%, like higher than normal? I thought it was closer to 3%.
Well, it's PERS plus step, right? So this year's PERS increase was, what was it, 4? Was it 4? It was right in that range. And then the average step increase per FTE, so is around 3%. So that's where we came up with our 7% to just kind of be safe. And so it is very timely that we received the O&C funds, because we would be searching for an additional $927,000 to offset annual staff increase costs, but that covers it. So that was kind of the message that was sent out for worksheets was, hey, let's try to keep things as status quo as we can. That's where we were. So, and that's kind of the essentially some of the budget message, if you will, going into this year. So, with that, you ready to elect budget officers?
Sure. Do you guys
Indeed.
have any questions or anything thus far? Okay.
No? Okay. So we're going and elect this year's budget officers. So we will start with the budget chair.
Who was budget chair last year?
Commissioner Alcorn, I believe.
Can I nominate somebody?
You can nominate, as long as it's Patrick. No, you can nominate or Dan, because that's what happens when you don't make the meeting.
You can nominate him.
I would nominate Patrick.
Oh, okay, good. I will second. Okay. Got a nomination and a second.
Second.
I will call for the vote. So, Nick?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Dan?
Yes.
Lynn?
Aye.
Aye. Patrick?
Aye.
And I as well.
Yay.
So, Patrick will be the Budget Committee chairperson. Now we need to elect a vice chair. Vice chair's role is just to step in for the chair should the chair have to miss a meeting. So it is the alternate.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jay to be vice chair.
I was going to go with Nick.
Second.
Oh, I thought I was going to die for a second. No second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call for the question. Dan?
Yes.
Nick? Dave? Lynn?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And I as well. Okay, there's our chair and our vice chair. The budget officer for the 25-26 budget season will be Director Fitzgerald, because we are right now in between finance directors. So that is where we are with that. I will give a quick update on that, so everybody's kind of in tune. We contracted out finance to a CPA firm. Yes. Who does a lot of different municipalities and government budgeting. Eric is going to get us through this budget season. Obviously, when we saw that we got the 944 in lieu of the debt of 927, he was like, okay, this is going to be a pretty streamlined process. So that was, we're going to move forward with that. as far as long-term, I think what we have sent out for some bids, we were looking at essentially what's called the Rogue Valley Council of Governments to provide finance services. And we also went out for a bid with another organization, and then obviously Eric put in a bid as well. So we have 3 bids to consider about our long-term strategy with finance. Having it outsourced, I think, is the strategy. It will be, I think a lot of governments, and actually just taxing districts, municipalities, schools, and things of that nature are all trying to right now reinvent how they do things, because it seems like every district is in some sort of a budget crisis. And so we're all going to have to learn how to work better. We have decided, obviously during the year, we had just several discussions with like Coos County on how to try to consolidate different efforts. And so I think that those conversations will continue, so we don't try to duplicate efforts in areas where we don't need to. But overall, that is it. So I will now hand it over to the budget chair.
Okay, thank you, sir. As far as scheduling for future meetings, how are things looking for everybody? Would we want to do one next week?
Yes, so will Eric, do you think he will have a prepared proposed budget when everybody's worksheet's back by next week?
Maybe towards the end of the week, I have to reach out.
Okay.
I haven't done it yet, so
Okay,
maybe Friday or,
yeah?
I would push it later in the week, since this week's so short.
How about we just push it to the following week
That'd
then?
be even better.
Okay, so that'll give him
Well-
all of next week to be able to
Yes.
get his report to us. Okay.
June 6th?
Yeah, the week, when we're looking at the week of June 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th.
I'm here all week.
Okay.
Costa Rica?
Possibly man, but it's a 50-50 trip, probably less than 50%.
Would you be able to call in?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Do we want to shoot for the 11th in the afternoon? Maybe do 3 p.m. on June 11th?
I'm unavailable, but that doesn't mean you can't go ahead. The 12th is a better day for me, but don't not do the 11th if it works for everybody else.
I'm available on the 12th.
I'm available on the 12th.
12th work better?
Can we have it earlier in the day?
Yeah.
I can do after 1:30.
Shoot for 2 o'clock? 2 p.m.?
2 p.m. works for
2
me.
p.m. on the 12th?
Okay.
Okay.
2 p.m. on the 12th?
All right.
Okay. We'll go ahead and have that then.
Yeah.
Sharon.
Schedule as far as, is that gonna be a time frame to get it published?
Sorry?
The budget, now we're gonna be published in the paper and everything like that?
Is that enough time?
We'll have enough time to advertise it.
Okay, well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then we shoot for June 12th, Thursday,
All right.
2 o'clock.
With Eric compiling, stuff for looking at next year's budget, questions or things that we might want to see, is there a best route to maybe submit some different numbers and different reports to look at for years prior? Just to email
Email, yes.
budget official or you, Nick?
Me and Director Fitzgerald and Ravita.
Okay.
Yeah. So I start with me and then I can phone them to the right area. Or I might be able, I can provide it to you.
Okay.
What would be the requirement then for another meeting post this? So I know we have to post our budget, we'll review it. But then what would be the next step after that? Might as well, if we're talking schedules and stuff now, if we have to do another one the following week or another one the following week, what is that requirement look like?
Like we should, the meetings that we just scheduled, we should schedule them the following week
Okay.
at the latest.
I was gonna say, we could actually,
Yeah.
we could,
Don't mind getting things on the calendar just right now, so
could we
everybody.
block out a tenant, what about the next day? What about the Friday, the 13th?
Or the 14th to give me, or not, yeah, I mean, as long as nothing crazy came up, I just, you know what I mean? As far as requesting information. I'll know more when I get up to talk to Eric.
Right, but I mean, if we're having the 12th, then we need to have a follow-up meeting. Does the next day work for everybody here?
Good for me.
Yeah, it's good for me, and we'd want to do it earlier in the day,
Okay,
like before lunch, just after lunch. Any suggestions, you guys?
what works best for you guys?
My kids get out of daycare at 5, so anytime that starts the end.
Before then?
Yeah.
So why don't we say like 1 o'clock on Friday or something of that nature? Does that work?
Yep.
Okay.
So we can have a second meeting that next day?
At 1 o'clock?
Yep.
That sounds good.
Okay. And then,
These
I'm
are
all
all
for-
around here,
I'm all for, once we start this thing, let's get it done as quickly as possible.
and we'll do them all here in chamber.
So, do we want to get a couple more, again, dates the following week as well? Just to have them, and then if
If
we end
needed.
up needing them, great. If not, great too.
Wouldn't hurt.
Well, our regularly scheduled BOC meeting is the 17th, right?
Yep.
At 6 PM.
Right.
I don't know what Monday looks, the 16th for everybody.
I'm available on the 16th.
I'm available.
What time?
Want to shoot for the same time? Do 1 p.m. on the 16th.
If necessary.
You good with that, Dan?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we'll skip the 17th, and then
Well, the goal would be hopefully that we have something
sure.
to put on the agenda to approve. But I don't know if there's, we'll have to look at the requirements.
Well, so the first, I'm just reading the statute, and it says, if more than one meeting is planned, Budget Committee may decide that the purpose of the first meeting is only to hear the budget message and receive the budget document, and that no public comment will be taken. In that case, a subsequent meeting must be scheduled for the purpose of taking public comment, and notice of both meetings must be published. So, that may make sense, since you've got the way those meetings are scheduled. You might just want to let the public know in the advertisement that we'll just be receiving the budget message, and there won't be any public comment that first meeting. No, the following day will be the day for public comment.
Okay.
Then I guess we can just schedule as needed if it goes past that 16th on Monday.
Right. Okay. That's I'm good with that. And we'll see where it takes us.
Okay.
There was a lot of,
You may want to get a microphone so people can.
So there was questions I'm getting from departments if they're going to have to present, like last year. I just don't think.
No, I don't think, well, sorry, Chair.
Yeah, I believe that wouldn't be the case in this go-around because Director Fitzgerald and Rabia met with all of the departments. And Nick. I attended a couple as well, to work on going through that budget and where everything stood so that it didn't have to become a big public spectacle.
But I would say, that it would be beneficial to have the elected, or if it's a non-elected department, the department head present to answer questions if necessary. I think that's always beneficial.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, I guess we'll see you guys next week, or 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
On the 12th. Yeah. So I'll adjourn this meeting then at 4:41 p.m.
Thank
guys.
you.